Hi, Kivanc. Thank you for your final essays. Thank you for obliging me and writing the answers to the tasks that we provided. I explained why we do this, because in the real exam you don't get to choose, and it's really great to practice writing answers to some more challenging tasks. But now let's see. This is the letter about the barking dog. Dear Mr. Polanski, I'm contacting you in the relation, not in a relation. Okay, let's put it easier. Regarding the dog barking sound, the barking sound coming from your flat through mine. I'm not sure what you mean, coming from your flat. You don't need that part. For all the time in a day. No. You can say 24/7 or for the most time during for most time during the day, but you can't say it like this. Okay, I won't be correcting things that have many options for correction or will take too long. Okay, firstly, I have to bring this issue to your attention because the situation has started to be to, let's say, induce health problems for me and my family. As you know, I have a daughter who is 6 years old, and her sleeping habit has started to be impacted badly due to. Consequently, Maggie is having a hard time. Okay, perhaps you should write, I have a daughter, Maggie, and so on. Consequently, she is having a hard time to concentrate, hard time concentrating on her lessons at school due to this, and due to this, her grades are getting low, and this makes her upset. I think you have too many ands, and I'm trying to add even more. Okay. Perhaps you could summarize this somehow. I'm trying to avoid the constant cause effect structures. Okay, let's go. Due to this disturbance, let's say, her grades are becoming worse, which makes her upset. Secondly, I myself have migraine and need to have continuous sleep, not undivided, continuous sleep, in order not to suffer from it, in order to prevent it. But unfortunately, this is not possible while your dog is making noise during nights. Okay, good. I neither want to put you or your dog in jeopardy, but this needs to be handled as soon as possible. Wait a second. Are you threatening your neighbor? No. It's not about. If you say this, it means you're threatening them. I don't think you mean this, right? Sorry. I neither want to offend you or your dog. Well, if the okay, let's do it like this. I do not want to offend you, but this needs to be handled. Handled is very informal, addressed perhaps as soon as possible. As I heard from one of my colleagues, there's a training camp for dogs, where there are experienced trainers who can help with noisy puppies. Okay. Should you require information about them? No, information about them. I would greatly appreciate. No, you cannot say. You say I would greatly appreciate if you require action. If you're asking for action from your neighbor. So I would love to share it with you. Please do not understand me wrong, but I had to share this issue with you. I'm not sure why you would want to share here. I had to discuss this issue with you because we're neighbors. Mhm. I did this because we are neighbors. Okay, what am I doing here? Because we're neighbors and we need to support each other to tackle unwanted, I wouldn't say unwanted, to tackle difficult situations. You are a very nice neighbor. Yeah, I know that you didn't mean to threaten your neighbor here, but yes, yours sincerely, first name, last name. Well, I like your letter, but make sure that you pay attention to how to use vocabulary appropriately and how to be very specific in what you need to say. Okay, anyway, this is a very nice letter. Okay, now let's have a look at the green energy essay. This is one of the most challenging essays because, as I have seen hundreds of essay answers to this topic, and very few of them were really on the level. So, because it's very easy to get tangled in your own argument in this topic. So the discussion of whether renewable energy sources are more beneficial for the health of our planet, nice, or not, has grown in importance over the last 2 decades. Very nice. Personally, I do agree that green energy has better influence for both has better influence on what? On what? From both the environmental and economic, not economical. Economical means something else. Have a look in the dictionary. However, it should not be forgotten that uncontrolled production and distribution of these sources may provide several negative consequences. Okay, you cannot say uncontrolled production of these sources. You don't produce sunlight, right? So you also don't distribute these sources. So this is technically impossible. By renewable energy sources, we mean sunlight, the energy of waves, tides, the current of rivers, the wind energy, and so on. How can you produce that uncontrollably? How can you distribute that uncontrollably? I'm just asking to make you understand that this statement is slightly illogical, okay? Perhaps you mean relying too heavily on these sources may lead to several negative consequences. Then yes, but not the way you said. On the one hand, as a result of latest this is superlative, you need the article. Production and circulation of the energy is becoming more and more cost efficient for energy companies. Not only does this positive movement lead to abolishing the governmental, to abolishing the economic burden for governments, but harmful interaction with nature, this is not very, but harmful impact on nature. You cannot say harmful interaction with nature, it doesn't work. Is decreased as a result of this and turned into eco-friendly movement. I wouldn't say movement, no. And let's say transformed into eco-friendly approaches, I would rather say. I'm trying to adapt what you have. Therefore, destruction of the planet is stopped. Companies have started to make their investments in renewable. What do you mean by this? I think, okay, you have 2 concluding sentences, therefore and consequently. Please make sure that you organize them somehow. I will try to rephrase what you have here because you have very nice ideas, but they are incoherent. You need to work on organizing them differently. As companies start to make their investments in the renewable energy sector, the destruction of the planet will be stopped. Consequently, I'm not sure. Well, wait. Consequently, fossil fuel consumption rate is not one of the major concerns for governments as part of the environmental protection plans. Why is this here? I don't know why you're saying it's not one of the major concerns. If this is not one of the major concerns, what is the major concern? This should be somewhere before here. So probably you mean obviously fossil fuel consumption rate is not one of the major concerns for governments as a part of their environmental protection plans, because the most important focus would be this, and that. But why do we have both of these here? So I'm not sure what you intend to say, because this is incoherent. I understand the idea separately, but I don't understand why they are together. So I did understand everything that was here. And still, I don't understand why did we get here if the focus of this paragraph was becoming cost efficient. So you really have to explain that the benefit of the use of renewable energy. So perhaps you could rephrase this like that. I mean, in a very simple way. There are many, as a result of the latest technological improvements, there are many benefits in the production and circulation of the renewable energy. First, it's becoming more and more cost efficient for energy companies. Why? Because blah, 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 blah. Second, this leads to abolishing the economic burden for governments. Not abolishing, lightening. Like making it less heavy, lightening the economic burden for governments. And third, the harmful impact on nature is decreased, and as a result of this, no, is decreased. Just drop the eco-friendly. Just forget about it. And then we have this. I'm not sure why we have this, but the main point of this paragraph should be these are the benefits. Okay, so this paragraph is probably about the drawbacks. On the other hand, the energy sector is one of the most powerful profit branches for both governments and energy producers, and it has to be under supervision. Okay. Countries often make special agreements with each other to distribution with regards to distribution of energy as part of their trade politics. Okay, so thus they usually define increased transportation policies for each other. Okay, so these kinds of agreements might cause an even share of this energy on the global scale. Which this energy, electricity is electricity. Consequently, you mean economically, not strengthened, strong, well-off nations benefit more from the circulation of energy than the developing or third world countries, which creates energy. This is a fragment. You need to make this a complete sentence, which creates energy dependency for the weakest economies and make these countries more open to outside threats, not treats, threats. I'm not sure what I have just read. How does renewable energy connect to this paragraph? I mean, why are we discussing this? This is about energy distribution. This is about trade agreements. This is not about green energy. Nowhere here I can see the word renewable. Nowhere here I can see solar, wind, geothermal, anything else. Nowhere here I can see the drawbacks, the word drawbacks, because you are explaining something, but I'm not sure why you are explaining this. I hope it makes sense. Let me give you an example. A lot of people think that relying on renewable resources for producing electricity is not very safe because of climate conditions. For example, let's say Turkey relies on solar panel use, and then due to global warming or something, they get a very rainy summer, and they get only, let's say, 20 sunny days out of 60 sunny days. What happens to the entire country, which relies on solar panels? So there will be a shortage of electricity. Why? Because they relied only on a renewable type of energy, and namely using solar energy for producing electricity. Similarly, let's say Canada. Let's say Canada. I personally live in Canada. Let's say the Atlantic regions, the Atlantic provinces rely on using wind energy, right? Wind turbines. And then for some reason, there is less wind than usual, and they don't have a backup. Well, typically when such infrastructures are created, they do think about backups. That's another thing. So this is the threat. This is the threat of this is the threat to energy security, which is discussed here. Not exactly what you outline here. This is from the economic point of view, but trade agreements, energy dependency, and so on. But this perfectly works without any connection to renewable energy. I hope it makes sense. So, to summarize, this paragraph is slightly off topic, slightly a lot, I mean. This paragraph does not answer the question properly. And this paragraph is fine, but is quite incoherent, and it needs to be rewritten and reorganized, because the ideas are great, the presentation needs work. In conclusion, while natural energy sources are considered significantly a significantly positive improvement for the nature and economies, its production and spreading phases must be under control by global joint associations. Why? Otherwise, it may lead to economic dependency dependency on developed economies in terms of lack of energy resources. No, you haven't answered this. No, you didn't explain why natural energy resources have anything to do with that. I wouldn't say so. No. This typically happens with fossil fuels and energy derived from them, but typically with oil, natural gas, like look at Russia and all the countries that it sells gas to. But no, not with renewable resources. Again, to summarize, the reader is not clear what to understand here, and the reader is completely not, beg your pardon, and the reader is completely not convinced why this is, how this works in the context of this topic. So it's a huge issue with task achievement, and in this paragraph with coherence and cohesion. Anyway, I am sure that you will want to continue improving. If yes, please explore our offer in my feedback email. We have another pack to offer. I'm sure that you might want to practice. So have a look at that. And if you're interested and if you want to get more feedback, do sign up.